Leap of Fate podcast fans. Welcome to this week's episode with yours truly, Randy Silver. As always, the Leap of Fate is around overcoming adversity, teaching life lessons, sharing life lessons, and helping you achieve your goals, dreams, and make a better life for yourself. My guest, David Veksler, this week is going to help us with that, as we're going to dive directly into cryptocurrency, personal finance, and how you can make sound investments moving to 2022. David, wave and say hi to the podcast fans really quick.
Hello, Randy. Pleasure to be here.
Awesome. We're so happy to have you. So we'll touch base with you in 1 second. As we always do, just want to say thank you to the loyal Law fans. If this is your first time listening, watching, or however, thank you for all the feedback, especially the past 2 episodes. Again, they were the one about grief and then about making time for yourself. Thank you so much. You guys really loved me diving into my individual thought, hoping you guys understand what I'm going through and how you can deal with yourself. Those were very powerful. And as I said, those are 2 more unique episodes here. We're going to get back to more of the scheduled type of programming where we have guests come on and we talk about different topics. So this week, it's a huge topic out there. We're going to talk about personal finance, cryptocurrency, and stock investments. Why are we talking about this? Why is it important to you guys? It's all over the news today. We see cryptocurrency, the fluctuation of the market going up, going down. There's highs, there's lows, there's peaks. We hear in the stock market, there's massive inflation. What does that mean to you? How's that hitting you at home in your wallet? How's that hitting gasoline prices, your food prices at the grocery store, things like that? As we move out of 2021 and 2022, what type of investments do you want to make? Do we want to be speculative in the crypto market? Do you want to have safe stocks? Do you want to have penny stocks, things like that? So we want to make sure that today, myself, David, and you, we're going to give you some sound advice. Of course, we're not financial analysts, things like that. So everything you do, make sure you do your own type of homework, own type of research. My goal today is to talk about the crypto investments, personal finance, how you can help yourself, talk about the stock market and what you need to do. David is an expert in some of this concept. So let's talk about what David can do for you. Why did I bring David on? So David knows how to keep your Bitcoin safe. He's helped thousands of people recover from every imaginable way to lose a crypto wallet. And if a lot of you in the crypto market know, if you lose your crypto wallet, you lose your coins, it's gone forever. So I'm very interested myself to hear how Dave is able to help out with this and help you guys out in this scenario. Since 2017, David has advised thousands of customers on his cryptocurrency through his consultancy company called the Bitcoin Consultancy. David is also a managing partner of Valium Capital, a cryptocurrency hedge fund starting 2018. So you can understand that he's been in the crypto market for quite a while, definitely one of those early adopters. Through David's experience in the cryptocurrencies, he's also done other stuff such as helping build an exchange in 2013 and running a wallet recovery, as we just talked about. Starting in 2021, David helped launch NFTs linked to music royalty streams and featured by major industry publications, including Rolling Stone and Billboard. So David is an expert in the cryptocurrency field. He's going to give us a lot of great information here today. So with that being said, let's bring David back in. David, welcome to the podcast.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm based in San Diego. You're in Denver, as you guys can see on the screen. Again, please, if you're not on YouTube, watch on YouTube. We got backgrounds to go with it. We have all these different types of Bitcoin currencies. We got Bitcoin, we got Ethereum, so many coins in the background. David, let's just give a high-level overview very quickly before we dive into the nitty-gritty. Cryptocurrency. There's so many coins out there. There's the normal coins people know. There's the altcoins out there. If we were to invest strictly in cryptocurrency right now, what's the safe investment? What's the outside investment? What's the speculative investment? Like, how can people make sure they stay safe?
Sure. So this space was really founded in 2008 when this anonymous creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, created Bitcoin. And Bitcoin at this point has had over a 12-year track record. So compared to Bitcoin, no other cryptocurrency has had the history of basically growing in value steadily for 12 years. So the short answer is, if you want to get into the space and you're looking where to start, the answer is buy and hold Bitcoin. And you don't have to do anything else, because over 12 years, Bitcoin, of course, has had many ups and downs, but on average, it's been a 200% return per year. In other words, tripling your money every year. So if you just want to get in, you buy some Bitcoin, you hold it, and you're set.
So let me ask you this question as a follow-up. Right now, Bitcoin's around 50,000. Its peak was like 66, 67,000. If I only have $1,000 to invest, is it better for me to invest get 0.0001 of a Bitcoin versus say I could buy a Dogecoin, a Shiba coin, Ethereum, and get more of that? So you're saying that's still a safer investment to get Bitcoin versus something where I could get more of a different coin.
So at this point, there's over 20,000 different cryptocurrencies. Anybody can go and start one. And if you're not an expert, I'm immersed in the space all day. I wake up, I work all day looking at different cryptocurrencies and what's going on. If you're not really into the space, how are you going to pick the one winner from the 23,000 out there?
Yeah, it's like a needle in a haystack.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that you should never buy anything else. I'm saying that unless you are an expert, you don't trust some YouTuber or some random blog or tweet you saw to say this is the next hot thing, because statistically, the vast majority of cryptos are going to fail. And maybe you are trying to just time the market. It's like gambling. If you want the solid long-term bet where it's hands off, set it and forget it, you just buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, and that's the same, obviously, kind of concept for stock markets. Buy it, and then over time, it's just going to eventually raise. You know, personally, for myself in the cryptocurrency, I do have Bitcoin, I have Ethereum. What I'm speculative right now is the metaverse. Obviously, we know Facebook changed the name to Meta. Now there's Meta coins in there, and I had some money in the metaverse before that got announced, and those significantly raised over the past month since Facebook did it, which is really good. So for me, that's my speculative market, is like, hey, 5-10 years down the line, that could be significant. And the reason why I think that is, and I'll let you respond after this, Louis Vuitton actually, in one of the metaverse cryptos that I'm invested in, bought land for $2 million. And their ultimate goal with that land is they're going to create a financial district in the metaverse, and then they're going to sell off their land that they bought to other people who want to invest and be in the financial district. So they're basically creating a real estate inside the metaverse that they're then going to resell out to other people. So this obviously is very speculative. Nothing's there right now, but this is something that hopefully will hit, which make me very good. So now, based off of what I just said, David, how does that play in the part of everything we just talked about?
So back before Bitcoin even existed, I read Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson. So this is a 1991 novel that it introduced the term metaverse and avatar and a lot of other terms like that. So a lot of those ideas, Neil Stephenson came up with in that book. And so even back then, I don't know when I first read it, again, came out in 92, I thought this is the future. It's inevitable that we're all going to be wearing headsets, virtual reality, augmented reality. He predicted all this. And
it's kind of like that one book, 1984, when it came out way back in the day.
Yeah. So I always thought this was the future. The question is just knowing that something, this is the future. If you want to invest in it, what do you put your money on? That's a lot more difficult. Like in 2000, or let's say 97, we all knew the web was the future, but where do you put your money to invest in it? So if you put your money in Amazon, you would have struck rich, but there were pets.com and hundreds of other companies that didn't make it. So I'm not saying don't invest in it. I'm just saying I think it's the future, but knowing what to put your money in is a lot more difficult. So Randy, what did you invest in? You said you put some money into the metaverse.
Yeah, let me open up my app really quickly. So there's obviously a bunch of different types of apps that you can go ahead and use. Coinbase. Personally, what I use is crypto.com. So hold on, I'm just opening up the app to show. So I have as I said, I have it in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, which is a very big one for NFTs to be able to buy stuff. But for the metaverse, I have it in Decentraland and also in the Sandbox, which are the two big metaverses out there right now.
So back in like 2004, I was using Second Life, which is this virtual reality universe, and I thought that was the future, and they had their own coin. I'm not saying stay away from these projects. I'm just saying I think this is the future, but knowing what platform will be the winner, or if Decentraland is the token to invest in, that's a lot more difficult. That's a difficult prediction. So I would still focus on Bitcoin, and definitely the technology is very exciting. I do think it's the future.
Yeah, and it's pretty much like penny stocks. It's like, okay, what penny stock is going to hit it rich, and hopefully you get rich with it.
I don't know if you're like, virtual reality has come in waves. And back in the 80s, we had the first generation, these bulky headsets. You had the Nintendo glove and what was the Nintendo VR headset? I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
And I think everybody thought that was the future, but the technology just wasn't there yet. And I think now finally we have the tools in place for the VR part, and with Web 3.0, we have the tools in place for the ecosystem, for the financial ecosystem. So I think it's very exciting, but picking winners is the hard part.
Yeah. So then if we take away from the winners for a second, let's talk more about the crypto market as a whole. Especially in 2021, we saw a lot of companies out there are now taking crypto as payment for either their employees and getting paid in crypto. We saw down in that, was it Chile, where they're creating a whole crypto city? El Salvador. Excuse me. El Salvador is creating a crypto city. We're seeing Tesla's accepting crypto. So now that crypto is becoming more of a accepted form of payment, how are you seeing that's changing the market, and what do you think that's going to hold for the future as well?
I wish I could predict the future that well. I think it's important to be humble and bet on the future, but also had your bets. So I think Bitcoin, and when I say Bitcoin, I mean cryptocurrencies in general, they have a few uses, and one of them is as a way to preserve wealth. So even if Tesla and no one else takes crypto as payment, it's still valuable to protect your wealth from inflation. So it's important to remember that this is not just something that has to be accepted in all the stores to win. Bitcoin could become a global reserve currency that just central banks use to instead of dollars as a form of sovereign wealth. It could become a way that people protect their net assets from inflation. It could become a daily currency. And so there's many ways that Bitcoin can win. And I don't know which one will be the most successful or which one will succeed first. But I think my focus is on using Bitcoin as a way to protect myself from inflation and as a way to increase my returns above what the stock market can offer.
Awesome. And I think that's a good segue as we can talk about inflation in the stock market. So again, if you're listening, what I'm doing here on YouTube is I changed my screen to now we have a screen of cryptocurrency versus stock market. So how is Bitcoin for you helping hedge against the stock market? We know inflation is going up. We know we're seeing stocks in the very up and down. So how have you seen in your personal life and people that you work with, how Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in total has been able to help them hedge bets in other areas of the sectors that they're working?
So the stock market has a 120-year history, and the long-term average return has been 10%. But inflation has averaged 3%. So the overall return of the stock market has been 7%. Now, compare that to Bitcoin, has a 12-year history, so 1/10 as long, but consistently has been averaging nearly 200% return. In other words, tripling your money every year. So you have this one asset, which is relatively safe, but low return, only 7%. And inflation going up subtracts from that. And then you have this other asset, which has a much shorter history, but much higher returns. And you have to individually decide what kind of reward versus risk balance you will tolerate. The one thing I'll say for sure that you do not want to do is leave your money in cash. Because as everybody's heard, inflation is much higher. Officially, it's now like 6%. Unofficially, it's much higher. One important thing to understand is that a big part of the reason that the stock market is going up so much is not because the economy is doing so great. If you look around on the streets, the economy is not doing so hot. We don't have 30% growth year over year in the economy. What's happening is the government is printing all this money, and this money is being pumped into the stock market, and that's why stocks are going up. So the point is that ultimately your money is going to be devalued for the same reasons that the stock market is going up. And so you really don't want to keep your money in cash. And I think you don't want to put all your money in the stock market. You need to diversify. Some people are more comfortable with gold, and that's fine. I think Bitcoin is the future, so that's where I'm putting my money.
Yeah, and you used a big buzzword here that we talked about, diversify. We've heard many people come on this podcast when we talked about cryptocurrency with Coach C. We did a cryptocurrency, just what is that? We did an NFT, what is that? And he talked about diversifying your assets, not putting it all either one cryptocurrency, one NFT, making sure you have different sectors. When Cheyenne was on, he talked about making sure you diversify your assets in real estate, stock market, e-commerce, so you can have different ways to make money. And you're saying the same thing here, is like, you don't want to put your whole eggs in a basket and say just cryptocurrency or stock. You want to make sure you have different. And what we see in the market, and I'll let you interject in a second, is when the stock market's gone down, especially the past couple months, cryptocurrency's actually gone up because people are like, oh, I need to move my money over to cryptocurrency. And when cryptocurrencies drop down a bit, some stock market's gone up as people moving back and forth. So we're seeing that in the market as well. And I've heard and read in articles that people are taking money out of gold as well into Bitcoin because they're seeing it as a better long-term investment. So what are your thoughts there as well?
Yeah, I'll start with gold. I used to be big in gold. I used to buy gold bullion, physical gold bullion that I would hold. I think it's not the future because it's not global instant web 3.0 money, not digitally native money. Mm-hmm. So I think gold is not the future. I think it might retain value, but it's not going to grow. I think that, I'm sorry, I forgot what exactly you asked, but
just how it's interesting to see how cryptocurrency goes up when the stock market goes down and vice versa. Yeah. So there's definitely a correlation to people pulling money between both of them.
So I would actually disagree a bit. That used to be true, not so much anymore, because as companies like Tesla are putting Bitcoin on their balance sheets, when the market is down and they need cash, they'll start selling crypto. And as actual hedge funds, traditional funds start buying crypto, they're going to become more and more linked to crypto prices. So I would expect that the more the so-called TradFi, traditional finance, gets into crypto, the more Bitcoin prices will start being linked to the stock markets.
Interesting. So
to an extent, it's still good to diversify, but don't expect it to be totally unlinked.
Yeah. So as we move into 2022, for people out there who are looking to make new investments, or, hey, let me reassess my investments, do you think it's a wise move for people to sell stock to invest in crypto, sell crypto to sell in the stock? Or is obviously it's a very open-ended wide question, is based off of a user by user experience?
So think of it as three buckets. So rule number one, don't hold cash. Holding cash is just burning your money because inflation is going up and it's higher than the official numbers say it is. So forget cash. So now think about three buckets. One is debt. And right now it's very good to be in debt as long as you're paying low interest. So if you own a home, great. If you don't own a home, buy a home or get a auto loan, because I do expect inflation to cause basically the value of your debt to go down, which is a good position to be in as a debtor. So
before you go to number three, can you explain why that would be important, or why owning debt it helps with inflation?
Yes. So I bought my house almost exactly a year ago with Bitcoin, and my interest rate on my house is 2.7 something percent. So inflation this year is 6%. So inflation is higher than I'm paying in interest. In other words, basically, the lender is paying me to borrow money because inflation is higher than my interest rate.
Got it.
So even if inflation goes down, considering how low interest rates are right now, you're basically getting a free money. You're getting a free loan. So being in debt right now is very good. And if inflation goes very high, let's say inflation is up 30, the values over, let's say over next 10 years, the total devaluation of the dollar is 30%, which is very likely. That means your loan is now worth 30% less. So your salary will go up 30%, but what you owe, your mortgage will go down. So it's good to owe money right now. I don't mean credit card debt, right? Because that's very high interest. I mean low interest, like auto loan or mortgage.
Interesting.
Or a business loan.
So as a side question, what was it like to buy a house in Bitcoin? Was it a very smooth process? Did the real estate agent, lender, company, whatever it was, they're set up for Bitcoin? So describe that.
Yeah, so I will say that when I talked to my lender, he was like, no, you can't do this. But I did it, and it was actually very easy. I was not familiar with the process. The way it works is I have some Bitcoin. I went to an exchange. I sold the Bitcoin for cash. I put the cash on bank account, and I made a cashier's check. That's pretty much the whole process. Now, the tricky part is that the lender wants to know where the money came from, right? So you can't just take any money and use it to pay down a house, because the lender wants to make sure that you're not like a drug dealer. They want to know where the money came from.
Yeah, show me the money.
Yeah, so they want to verify that you earned that money, and they want to see the transactions from the crypto exchange. And it just so happens there's just some detail you might want to know, that crypto exchanges don't give you the format that your lender expects. So what I literally did is I took a screenshot of the trade page and I saved it as a PDF, and the lender said, fine, we'll accept this.
Oh, there you go.
That is literally, yeah. They're like, we can't take a CSV, has to be PDF. So I took a screenshot of the page, saved the PDF, and that was it. And then they said, fine, we'll take your Bitcoin down payment for the house.
Yeah, that's a 2021 real life story for you guys out there.
Yeah.
I love that. So then just to finish off your statement, so you said number one rule,
all right,
don't hold cash right now. Number two, continue.
Yeah, so think of it as 3 buckets. One is the debt or real estate. 2 is the stock market. And asset prices are going up in response to inflation, because when the government prints new money, that money first goes to banks, basically, and those banks invested in basically big companies, and that causes their stock prices to go up. So I don't discourage the stock market. But again, long-term return is 10%. Bitcoin return over 12 years is 200%. So think of it as 3 buckets, maybe divide it equally. It all depends on your risk tolerance. So maybe take a third, put it in Bitcoin. And I do recommend focusing on Bitcoin, because it's the only one that has the 12-year track record. Unless you want to really closely follow the space, understand the technology of these other assets, you just probably don't have the time to understand the intricacy of what makes something better than the others.
Yep. Awesome. I love that. And that kind of takes us to I'm very interested in you about is how you hold a company called the Bitcoin Consultancy, and you help people recover Bitcoin. And again, just to restate, a lot of times when you lose your wallet, someone hacks your wallet, you're gone. Like that money's gone. You're not able to get it back. That cryptocurrency is gone. You can't get it back. So can you talk about how you're able to help people out? So if they're in that scenario, they can use you as a resource as needed.
It's hard for people to understand that with a bank account, if some kind of mistake happens, usually it can be reversed, because the bank ledgers are not immutable, meaning that they're changeable. So if the bank makes a mistake, or if somebody makes an unauthorized transfer, usually, if it's not always, they take out the cash, maybe it's gone, but the ledger can be modified. But the Bitcoin ledger cannot be modified. It was designed from the beginning that every transaction is final, cannot be reversed, can be modified. So if your crypto is stolen or lost or locked away, it's gone forever. Like if you forget your bank account password, you just go and reset it, no problem. You forget your Bitcoin password and you don't know what it is gone. And if you have your life savings in Bitcoin, that you might have a problem, right? So this is a Bitcoin, you can see it because I put it real close to my face, maybe. There it is.
Oh, there you go.
Bitcoin wallet. There we go.
And then again, if you guys go back to the cryptocurrency episode with Colin C, we talk about hard wallet. I mean, a warm wallet versus a cold wallet. He showed a cold wallet right there.
So that is a hardware device that stores my Bitcoin. And there's several brands. There's Trezor and Ledger. They're both good. That's where I keep my Bitcoin. And it's backed up by a steel plate called a seed word list, where I write down it's basically a secret number, but I write it down as 12 words. That is the seed to regenerate my wallet if I ever lose or break the hardware wallet. That is basically how it works. And the reason it's on a steel plate, it's etched on a steel plate, is because I keep it on a safe. And if my house burns down, that plate is not going to melt. It's not going to be, if it floods, it's not going to be washed away. So that is how you keep your crypto safe. If you learn one thing from this episode, you keep it safe by writing down your seed words, and ideally do it on something that's not going to burn. So anyway, if you do forget your password, if you do run into trouble, if you did forget to write down those 12 words, let me know, because I have some powerful hardware where I can sometimes brute force forgotten passwords. If you have some idea what it is, or maybe you wrote down the 12 words and you forgot one of them, so you only have 11, I can fix those issues. But if your crypto is stolen, nobody can help you, because those transactions are not reversible.
Interesting. So say a crypto.com or a Coinbase, you hear in the news, this crypto exchange got hacked. What are they able to do for their clients who lost their money? Or it's just like, hey, sorry, when you signed up for the app or the website, it's in the terms and conditions that if it ever got stolen, we can't pay you back.
So there's one common scam in crypto called SIM swapping. So let's say that you log on to your Coinbase account using your email, and there's a verification using your phone number. So if somebody gets access to your email, they can call, let's say you have AT&T as your phone provider. Okay. They call AT&T and say, hey, I lost my phone. Can you switch it over to this other SIM card? And AT&T will often say, yeah, sure. And so now somebody that has access to your email can basically hijack your phone number and impersonate you to log into the crypto exchange. This happens very often. I hear about this literally pretty much every day. It happens to somebody, called SIM swapping. So the point is, if you keep your crypto in an exchange and you're relying on your email and phone number for login, that is very easy for a malicious thief to hijack and take everything you have in there. And there are ways to make that more secure, but I do not recommend keeping your money at exchanges because it can be hacked this way.
Which is why you have the external hard drive that you keep it yourself. So someone's got to pry it from your hands. They're going to take it from you.
Yes. So there's a slogan in crypto: not your keys, not your Bitcoin. If you hold your Bitcoin, let's say at Coinbase, they have your keys. Somebody can hack in and steal your Bitcoin by hijacking your phone number and email. Somebody could hack Coinbase itself. Maybe the government will come after Coinbase. Who knows what will happen? When you hold it on your own hardware wallet, it's under your exclusive control. You can screw up, of course, but if you do it properly, it's quite safe.
Yeah. And so then just to kind of follow up with that, if crypto.com, Coinbase, whatever exchanges gets hacked, it's not your fault. It's, hey, the exchange got hacked. There's nothing that they can do to help you recover your money, or will they pay you back out what you originally had?
So let's say Coinbase, they have 300 million in insurance against hacks. They've never paid that out. So literally billions of dollars have been stolen from Coinbase, but it's always because somebody, like I said, will hijack your email or your phone number, and they that's not part of what they cover. But also they have 300 million in insurance, and they hold, I don't know how much, many billions in assets. So if somebody does ever hack Coinbase or crypto.com, most of them have some kind of insurance, but it covers a small fraction of the total value that they hold. So I would never hold a large quantity at an exchange. There is an exception, which is something I do recommend. It's called crypto lending. So there are companies that basically lend out money for people that have Bitcoin and need access to cash, and you can provide them with liquidity. So that's a little complicated. I hope that makes sense. But they will pay you an interest rate to lend them either Bitcoin or stable coins, which is a whole other concept. And so there is risk there that it will be stolen, but they are paying you for that risk.
Yeah.
So if you want to hold my Bitcoin, you better be paying me some interest for that.
Yeah, and then the lenders are taking the risk that, hey, Bitcoin's going to go up, so I'm going to make money off of me holding your Bitcoin versus you holding that Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's really good information. I think as we kind of round third here and end it, just to recap. So we kind of went over a lot of different subjects here. If you hold cryptocurrency, what do we want to make sure you're doing? One, you want to make sure you're holding it in a cold wallet, some type of USB device, so it's not sitting on a crypto exchange, could get taken. Two, do you want to look at what types of coins there are? Do you want to look at it if you're trying to go more for the meme coins, you're trying to do more of the stable coin, you're trying to do a Bitcoin, which has been in the market for a while. So what is your risk to these coins? And is it important to you to hold a bunch of this coin and speculative with it? Or is it important for you to hold a minimum amount of coin and know that there's more opportunity there growing in the future? And then three, lastly, we'll bring David back in here. What does it mean to you in terms of diversity of your assets? Do you want to hold a bunch of stocks, a bunch of crypto, real estate? How are you going to diversify yourself so you don't have all your eggs in one basket? Is there anything else we haven't talked about today that you think is important for us to bring up to help out the audience today?
Yeah, I'll just mention one common misconception. Just because some coin is cheap or like a penny stock is cheap doesn't mean that it's a good deal. You have to look at the supply. So if you look at something like Shiba that costs 0.0001 cents, you think, oh, that's cheap. No, because look at the supply. The supply is 400 billion, whereas Bitcoin will only ever have 21 million Bitcoin. So they intentionally use these funny supply allocations to make you think it's cheap. No, it's just that it's so plentiful that for, let's say, Shiba to go to $1, it would have to be worth more than all the money in the world. That's not going to happen. So be very careful. If you want to stay safe, focus on Bitcoin, Ethereum, stay in the top 10. And that's okay. You don't have to take risks to get significant returns from crypto, because just Bitcoin, Ethereum itself have had very high returns over the last decade.
And you don't, again, I think the buzzword right there is he's a decade. It's not a quick win scheme. It could be a hidden jackpot, put the money in an investment and let it sit there, let it ride. And then 10, 20 years down the road, you'll have it and you'll want it. David, sure. If people want to find you, if they have any questions, they want to continue to ask for your services, whatnot, how can we find you?
thebitcoinconsultancy.com.
Awesome.
And I'm happy if you run into trouble with your crypto, if you forget your password, have issues, happy to help. If you just want advice, how do I buy it, or somebody to hold your hands, trading it on exchange, happy to do that as well.
Awesome. And we will be able to have that link in the bio, however you're listening or you're watching. So we'll have it there. Do you have any social media for people to find you there as well?
Sure. Heroic Life on Twitter. That's my handle. And if you want daily Bitcoin crypto insights, that's where you can follow me.
Awesome. And any types of newsletters people could follow you as well?
I do have an email newsletter. I have a weekly crypto letter where I talk about the current developments. You'll see the sign up on my Bitcoin consultancy website.
Awesome. So everybody go to his link. David, thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate you educating our law fans on everything around stock market, crypto, pros and cons of everything as we move into 2022. Again, my name is Randy Silver. This is the Leap of Faith podcast. If you are watching or listening, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Please do rate and like, subscribe. Please go follow me to help continue to get more content like this out so you can have weekly updates on the YouTube channel and all the audio. And please go reach out to David if you have any crypto needs in terms of hand holding versus if you lose any of your crypto as well.
David, and thank you very much for having me.
Great. I appreciate it. So we're going to do the sign off. So I'd like for you to repeat after me. So stay healthy.
Stay healthy.
Stay wealthy.
Stay wealthy.
And have a good week, fans.
And have a good week, guys.
Deuces.
See ya.